GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered.
And that's MVS and Justin Watson.
With some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues.
If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up.
Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow,
comma, semicolon, period, next sentence.
to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
And Jay.
in the morning.
My God.
How good is he? How good? Let's get it, GMGP. It is Monday, April 28th, 2025. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself. Y'all know who I got in the building. My brother from another mother, Jordan Richards. You can find him at your boy Jay Rich. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay, post 2025 NFL Draft. We did it. We made it. We got through the weekend. It was a long one. We have been streaming here on this channel since Thursday. Appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear in the building, whether you're watching live right now, catching it on replay, or you ain't watching at all. You just listening in the car. So make sure wherever you get this, you're subscribed both to the podcast feed, Wake Up with Ray and Jay, and you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. And make sure you check out everything that we're doing on DDFFB. Last night, me and Scott Connor went through every single pick, all of them. Offensive, fantasy relevant players, rounds 1 through 7 on DD Fantasy Football. Over 2 hours last night. And guess what, Jay Rich? I timestamped it, man. I went through that bad boy and timestamped every single pick. So make sure you check out this show. Scott and I did this last year, going through every single pick, just giving you guys our unfettered thoughts and opinions on these landing spots, these situations. But we have pumped out content between these two channels all weekend. So give the content creators love. Show that love by hitting that thumbs up button, liking the stream, subscribing to the channels. Jay Rich, I had a lot going on this weekend, man. We saw Kendrick Lamar. I saw Centers, NFL Draft. It was a good one, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It was a long weekend. I'll say that. It was definitely a long weekend. Yeah, you and Scott doing that 2-hour show last night. We had the New Look live trade show with Scott, Shane, and Ty DeClaire on Saturday night, and a live Dynasty Theory Q&A. So lots of content all on the DD Radio podcast feed as well, if you do want to check it out while you're at work today. But yeah, it was a long weekend, a big weekend. But right now we have to help the people with the rookie drafts. Like, it's just the reality of it is now we have everything we've been waiting for months and months and months, and it's time to finally make some picks. I saw Jeff Math got a RJ Harvey share at 201. Exciting stuff.
We're gonna talk
good value, right?
We're gonna talk some Harvey, man. We're gonna talk some Harvey. And for those of you who are looking for rookie ranks, where to draft this player, where to draft that player, go to DDFFB, DDFantasyFootball.com. My top 50 rookies along with their pre-draft grades, right? A lot of people erase that. Shit, I don't want to see where you don't want to see where I had them pre-draft. We got the pre-draft grades in there. And I made little write-ups for each of the top 50 players. So I went 1 through 50. And, it's a fluid process as we learn more information throughout OTAs, rookie camp. Jay Rich checking out those ranks right now.
I am checking them out right now. I haven't looked at them yet. And I want to see what Rachel's cooking
disagree?
up.
You disagree with something? You see something? We'll get to it. We will get to it. We will get to it.
If the people want to see the ranks, they can go to the website. They can sign up.
Shit, I gave them all out last night. I pretty much, as Scott and I were going through it, I pretty much gave them out all last night. But yeah, DD Fantasy Football top 50 is live, and we'll keep adding, right? We'll keep it might be a top 80 by the time we get to the process, Jay. But we do have to talk through the NFL draft. We got to talk through the draft. You must like a ranking. You saw something you liked.
So for people who don't know this, because obviously I know this now, did you do a pre-draft grade for Travis Hunter? Because I didn't realize, and I will leak this, that he is your highest pre-draft graded player.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And that I don't remember seeing when you did the initial run of receivers and running backs.
I didn't.
And so
I didn't include him initially. I did not include him initially. I did not include him initially. But he is my highest
higher
graded
than
player.
Ashton Genty.
But he is not number one in the.
He's not number one.
He is not number one. He is not number. We got people in the building, Jay. I didn't talking to you. The show can't start. I've got to see if Jorge is here. Is Jorge? Okay, Jorge's here. I see him in the building. We can officially start the show. Jorge from Rhode Island is in the building, so we can start the show now. Jay, we got a lot that I want to cover, and we're not going to do what everybody has done and what Scott and I did last night, which is start at number 1 and work our way down to number 300 in the draft. We're not going to do that. I want to talk through some of the biggest storylines, burning questions, things that's at top of mind of everybody's sort of draft, fantasy, NFL team building mind right now. And let's just start off with a player. We would do the people a disservice if we didn't start off talking about a player that we had talked about on this channel for months on end. We got to talk about QB like 9 off of the NFL draft board.
Are you sure?
Colorado's Hall of Fame quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, being drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Jay Rich, it was a long weekend of where is Shedeur Sanders going to be drafted. Eventually, he was taken on day 3 in round 5 by the Cleveland Browns after they already taken a quarterback in Dillon Gabriel in round 3. And what's crazy about this, Jay, is this was their final pick of the draft. They double-tapped quarterback, QB Horde, and they double-tapped running back, RB Horde. So let's start with Colorado, former Colorado quarterback, Shedeur Sanders going in the 5th round. There was a lot going on this weekend. Cameras. Even you look at NFL, the NFL Pro Shop, ain't no Dillon Gabriel jersey for sale on the front row. It ain't Quinshon Judkins. It's Shedeur Sanders right next to Cam Ward. That's all. I feel very bad for Dillon Gabriel. It is very unfortunate that Gabriel was put in this position. But let's talk about your opinion on the slide to round 5, which I don't care how bearish you are. Nobody foresaw that. There wasn't an analyst in the world that said that he would be picked in round 5. So what are your thoughts on the slide, the fall, how he handled it, the fit in Cleveland, Cleveland taking 2 quarterbacks, just talk about this wild-ass situation, man.
Yeah, so let's start with the player, right? I never really believed he should be a top 5 pick. I talked about that a lot, but I definitely thought there was a world where the talent was warranted to being, let's say, a top 20, top 15 selection. We talked about that a lot.
Yep, you said
Cleveland
top 20. You always,
fit, right?
And let me just give you credit. You were 10 toes down from the beginning. Ray, not top 5, not top 10. You would always say anywhere between 15 to 25. You were like 15 to late first is where he should go.
Yeah, like just taking a shot on a guy who maybe he does have enough talent to overcome his potential athletic limitations in the NFL, right? Like that's where you take a guy like that. And he is a very accurate quarterback. He seems to have the IQ. He's seen a lot, played a lot of football. Like there is a world where he can be successful. But, and I said this to Ike when we did the pre-draft betting show, like I would also understand him sliding a bit because you have to be extremely talented to be worth the potential circus that would likely surround him, right? Like there are certain players that are good enough that it doesn't really matter what they do. They're always going to get their end result, right? And, you hear a lot of different things and narratives about this. And the one thing that I think I don't know if it's real or not, and I don't know if it's just a folktale or not, is the people who believe that it was Jimmy Haslam that made this pick. Because you see the draft room video and like no one's really clapping, smiling, excited they just got a potential first round talent in the 5th round and a dude who slid arguably like 100+ spots in the draft. You should probably be excited about that guy if you wanted him in the first place. Like that to me is kind of the biggest thing. And as you mentioned, it was their last pick in the draft. So unless they traded up or found a way to get more picks, there wasn't a pick where they could get Shedeur Sanders. And then you already mentioned they drafted Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. A player that, again, I don't know how well he fits into Stefanski's system, but we've talked about it incessantly over the past year. Experience matters, right? And there isn't a more experience in college football history than Dillon Gabriel. He has the most starts in college football history, period. So if there was a quarterback that kind of surprised as a third rounder and came in and was, decent, serviceable in the NFL, it's probably Dillon Gabriel, because he's seen every coverage. He's played in multiple conferences and multiple systems. And we already saw the success of Bo Nix coming from Oregon and that system. Bringing a player like Dillon Gabriel, who's already been at Oklahoma and UCF, like, there is a world where he can be successful.
Oregon.
Well, yeah,
and
Oregon,
Alabama
obviously.
and LSU and all those schools.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, now he doesn't have a shot because it's going to be all about Sanders, and that sucks for him. But at the same time, it's like, what is Cleveland's plan? They have Joe Flacco. They have Kenny Pickett, who apparently, Ray, is the odds-on favorite to be the starting quarterback in this season. Now, again, what does that mean on DraftKings? I don't know. Shedeur Sanders is number 2, Dillon Gabriel's number 3, and I think Flacco is actually number 4, which is kind of interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But so, and this didn't even bring up Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's not going to play, but he is technically on the roster. So you have a situation where I personally kind of believe this hocus pocus, Jimmy Haslam made the call. And now the funny thing is, it's not Haslam who has to deal with this circus. It's the GM and Andrew Berry. It's Kevin Stefanski, and managing this roster where having one rookie quarterback, 2 veterans makes sense. Having 2 rookie quarterbacks and 2 veterans with an injured quarterback makes absolutely 0 sense. On top of the fact they drafted Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, and people are trying to figure out how that split backfield is going to work out as well. But what are your thoughts on the Sanders slide, and what do you think about the landing spot in Cleveland? Because it seems fine, but we don't know how it's going to play out.
Dude, I mean, he was a 5th-round quarterback. Fine, sure, as far as maybe he gets on the field, but any assurances for longevity at the position are nil. Like, you can't feel great about that long term. A lot of people seem to think he's the best QB in the room day one. I'll just say, I think when a rookie quarterback gets a shot in Cleveland, and they both will play, I bet you Dillon Gabriel gets the first nod. I think Dillon Gabriel will get the first nod, but what's unfortunate is the moment he takes the field, let him go out there and throw 2 incomplete passes, the Boo Birds will be out, and there will be chance for Sanders. I mean, the crowd was excited. They're going to sell a ton of jerseys. People are going to want to see him play. Whenever he gets that opportunity, how long will that leash be, Jay Rich? A game? A week? 2 weeks? Half a season if Kenny Pickett stinks it up? I don't know, but the odds of him becoming I'll say, I think he's got a better chance of being just like a good quarterback in the NFL that gets to start some years, maybe, than he is going to become a fantasy viable player. And as much as I've liked him, NFL-wise, fantasy-wise, I've always, give me Baker Mayfield, give me this core. I'll take any of those guys over any of these rookie quarterbacks. So it doesn't feel, he just kind of got moved off the board. I mean, you could see where I have him ranked right now. Very, very low. And the only reason I would want him is because other people might want him, but I have him outside my top 40 right now. Even in Superflex, Jay, I saw somebody in the chat say he still went 109 in the league. Like, what the hell are people doing crazy stuff like that? He was a 5th-round pick. How he fell, why he fell, the situation and the circumstances behind it, that's a whole nother topic for a whole different show on a whole nother day. I'm just getting right down to the brass tacks of it. He was drafted in the 5th round. They drafted Dillon Gabriel and Tyler Shuck and everybody else ahead of him. We'll see how this plays out, but you better believe that fan base is probably going to want him in there sooner rather than later if shit hits the fan in Cleveland early on. Fantasy perspective, do you have any interest in him?
0.
Outside of what you could trade him for because somebody else might like him?
Yeah, it's like you said, maybe late 3rd, early 4th in a rookie draft, just because you never know. And like you said, if for some reason there's a fan in the league or he gets a shot, like there's so many things working against him, unfortunately. And I do think there's things that will work for him, just the name, being a Sanders. And then there's also the talk of, well, people didn't want to draft him because coaches will be on the hot seat the moment they start sucking, right? And there'll be calls for Coach Prime to come and step in and coach Shedeur in the league, right? And so it's very interesting to see how this all plays out. But in classic Cleveland fashion, it's probably going to be a shit show. Let's be honest. Like, it's probably just going to be an absolute disaster.
Baby Dragon, I hear you, man. But again, still don't see how training camp doesn't play out and Shedeur doesn't win the job. If this were any other 5th round, if it were Dillon Gabriel who were picked in the 5th round, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. But I don't know if and I've been his biggest supporter, and I'm not comfortable saying, oh yeah, I think he beats out Flacco, Pickett, and Gabriel in training camp and becomes the starter, because if they really felt like that, why would they take Gabriel over him? Like, if they really felt like that,
they probably want Gabriel to succeed, right? They probably do.
I'm just being real, right? Like, the hopium fan in me is like, come on, take the job. The reality is they took that dude inside the top 100, and then it waited another 2 rounds to take Sanders. So it's going to be something that we will monitor and talk about all off season, Jay Rich. But the pain train does not stop for RayGQue. The pain train does not stop for RayGQue, but this is one I did see coming. This is one I did predict. I did not think my Dallas Cowboys would end up with any Quinshon, TreVeyon, Caleb, none of that. And you know what? They did not, Jay Rich. What a win for this running back right here, Javonte Williams, the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys in 2025, who didn't spend any significant draft capital on a running back. And when they did take a running back, Jay, they took one that can't hold on to the ball, that does one thing and one thing well, which is run real fast in a straight line. They took Jaden Blue, Texas's running back, in round 5. Didn't touch him. I try to tell people they're not going to do it. They've got way too many holes to fill on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, to spend money on a running back. And I actually like what Dallas did with their first 3 picks. I love what they did with Siobhan Revel, with Tyler Booker, and with Donovan Ezeraku. But talk about Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders being winners following the 2025 NFL draft of the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because in the presser with Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and Brian Schottenheimer, they talked about that. And Jerry did talk about how they decided to address other positions that weren't as deep as running back and then take running backs a little bit later, knowing that this draft was very deep at running back. And it's so that's where it's like, okay, I hear you, Jerry. That makes a lot of sense. Like, that sounds like you made a very smart decision. You don't need to take a highly touted running back when there's lots of talented running backs in this draft. But does that mean that maybe their jobs aren't as safe as they seem, and the draft capital isn't an indication that they don't want to replace those guys or have a more prolific player in those spots based off
they don't care,
their verbiage,
man.
right?
Maybe they don't value.
And then did you hear that they also compared Maffa to James Conner and think he's got a little James Conner in him out of Clemson? That was interesting. But it's funny, right? Because, yeah, Javonte Williams, maybe he's the guy. And great for Javonte. Miles Sanders probably going to work in there as well. Maybe Blue can get on the field. Like, it just sounds like the Dallas running game is something I want no part of. Like, why would they run the ball? They're probably going to be very ineffective. The offensive line is going to be a work in progress as they try to revamp it this season. Like, it's going to be Dak and CD, and that's about it. Probably some Jake Ferg worked in there. But very little interest in Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, even if the cost is relatively low.
Josh, shout out to Josh McAtee. He was on our stream, man. One of our Discord members. Josh and I are going to do a little receiver stuff on DDFFB, but he tweeted this out last night. Look at this, man. Tell me how inspiring this depth chart currently is. Just read off those starters for Dallas, Jay Rich. Just read those. Look at that wide receiver room. What do we got?
Why do I have CD in the slot? That's ridiculous.
What do we have?
Jalen Tolbert at the left, Jonathan Mingo at the right, and CeeDee Lamb in the slot with Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue Ray. I'm assuming this is our lads listed as the backup.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders and Phil Maffa. And I told you,
look at those other receivers.
He's going to work in
Seth Williams, Kelvin Harmon.
Where did Seth Williams go to college, Ray?
I mean, I'm like playing Devi 2017 here with Kelvin Harmon and Seth Williams, Ryan Flournoy, Jalen Brooks. What?
I don't even know who Jalen Brooks is.
This is.
Wasn't Calvin Harmon a big thing out of?
This is a meat defeater right here. This is an awful. I shit you not, man. I would not be shocked if CeeDee Lamb eclipsed 200 targets this season. A healthy Dak and a healthy. Who else are they going to throw? You're not selling me on your boy, Jonathan Mingo. Not my boy, your boy, Jonathan Mingo and Jalen Tolbert. I'm not buying it. This is bad. This is a shit offense.
But why can't Jonathan Mingo do something?
Come on, dude.
He was a second-round pick, Ray.
Come on, man.
Second-round pick.
Come on, man. I'm not even laughing, man. Come on, Jay.
And you got him for a nice discount.
You don't believe
You never know. He was playing with Bryce Young. Is Bryce Young really that good? We don't know. And now he's got Dak Prescott. Let's give him a chance. Maybe things just didn't work out with the first regime. He needs a fresh start. He's playing in Dallas. Just give the guy a chance. Right here, let me give you some good advice here. You got nothing else. All you got is hope. The little you could do is say, you know what? Maybe Big John Mingo can be decent.
Where's
all
Joe
you need
at?
to be is decent. All you need
Where's
to be
Joe?
is decent.
Big Joe and
All you need to
Jimbo.
be is-
Big John Mingo. I just offensively they did nothing to upgrade their weaponry. Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa. They drafted no receiver, none. No Matthew Golden, no Omarion Hampton, no Tet McMillan, none of that.
Well,
they didn't address it at all. Jordan Richards. You want to just keep the old GQ pain train coming? Do you want?
Sure.
This had to happen to me. Of all analysts, it had to happen to me. This player had to end up in the damn NFC East. I'm going to hear about it. I'm going to have to deal with it for the next 5 to 6 years. But the New York Giants made a good pick. The New York Giants had a very good draft, in my opinion. But in round 4, they lit that thing off with fireworks with your boy, Skattebo, Cam Skattebo, drafted by the New York Giants in round 4. Jay, talk about this fit. Talk about him in the New York media market. How is this going to work with Tyrone Tracy? What are your thoughts on Cam Skattebo getting drafted top of round 4? We thought he would be a day 3 pick, so that's around where we had him. I was like, hey, he's going to be a day 3 guy. Went right where we thought he would, but lands in a situation where he's competing with Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. Why can't this be a 3-man rotation out the rip in New York?
Oh, it absolutely can. And I think that's the funny part about it is they drafted Skattebo, a player that, in my opinion, does things a little bit different than what they have on the roster. Like, Tyrone Tracy is a good running back, but I don't know, man. I think there's a world where even Skattebo could be the early down grinder and Tracy could be more of the change of pace back. It doesn't mean he's going to get more touches than Tracy will, but there's a pretty clear skill set that he has that nobody else on the roster has. Devin Singletary has almost no juice. That motor is breaking down in a hurry in his latter years. Tracy, of course, still a talented player. And then Eric Gray, are we really going to talk about Eric Gray in 2025 for the New York Giants?
No, thank you.
I don't think so.
No,
so
thank
Cam
you.
Skattebo, like the depth chart's wide open. They got a lot of quarterbacks, too, they got to sort out. But I do think there's a world where Skattebo could honestly be on the field even as early as week 1. Like, why wouldn't they just give him some touches, see what he can do? We know he can catch passes. Maybe pass pro could be an issue and why he's not on the field. But as a thumper, is there a better player on this roster to work on the goal line and in short yardage than Cam Skattebo? I think the answer is absolutely not.
Greg said white boys are back on the menu in the NFL. Let's go. Let's go.
The New York media market will love Cam
they're going to
Skattebo,
love this. That's what I mean.
Gonna love him.
How good of a
They're
fit
gonna
is
love
this?
him.
Just media-wise, New York, just he's going to gel in that city. It feels like a great fit and a great pick for the New York Giants. Cam Skattebo lands in New York. We didn't talk about the number 1 overall pick, but let's just talk about our thoughts about Cam Ward and, more importantly, what the Tennessee Titans did in the draft to surround Cam Ward or not do to surround Cam Ward. But Ward, universally viewed as the number 1 overall pick for majority of the process, did in fact going number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. And, you know, we thought throughout the mock process, Jay, that they would do a whole bunch of stuff to upgrade the weapons around Cam Ward. Round 2, they're taking Luther Burden. Round 3, they're taking this running back. Round 4, that's what we thought would happen. And to a degree, they surrounded him with some weapons. But I'm going to list off.
Nah, they didn't.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, are we really... they didn't draft a playmaker until round 4 with Chimere Dike out of Florida, who no one's ever heard of. Gunnar Helm, I mean, sure. Io Manor again in round 4, and then Khalil Mullings in the 6th round. Like, Ray, and this is an honest question to you because I'm dead ass serious.
Yeah.
They signed Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Would you take Xavier Restrepo over every single playmaker in the 4th round of a rookie draft? Chimere Dike, Gunnar Helm, Alec Ayomanor, and Khalil Mullings. Because I would. I would trust that Cam Ward says he's always undrafted. I want him in my team, and I want him in training camp. Because I think Cam Ward is one of those guys that if you're his guy, like, he will go to bat for you. He'll fight for you, and you'll be his guy until his days are done. And while I don't necessarily believe in the talent of Restrepo, he's a fine receiver. And if Cam Ward likes him, I'd bet you he's on the field, whether you like it or not.
I have him inside my top 50. In the little write-up I put, it feels crazy to have a UDFA inside my top 50. But Xavier Restrepo was a big part of the reason why Cam Ward had the type of success that he had this
100%.
year. In Cristobal's offense, he was their primary target. He was the go-to guy. He was the comfort zone for Cam Ward. And you look at Tennessee's wide receiver core right now, it's Calvin Ridley. And it's Calvin Ridley. Like it's Ridley. It's really, that's it. He should be due for a massive uptick in targets. I don't know how to feel about Chimere Dike. I don't know how to feel about Alec Ayomanor there. Somebody that people thought could be a first-round pick falls to the 4th. I like Restrepo as well. I will have some, if I'm blasting a late 4th at something and you want a receiver, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking the guy that Cam Ward said, I want him. Go sign this guy.
Chemistry's there. They understand each other very well.
What do you think about the Titans' offensive draft? DK, Helm, Ayomanor, and Mullings.
I don't know, man. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
Ugh.
But they didn't bring in any, like, honestly, Ray, and this is where it's crazy. Like, unless there's, I just don't know what they're doing. Like, even if they brought in Deontay Thornton, right, the freak athlete out of Tennessee, like, there's a world where maybe he could be really good because we know that he's a freak athlete. Like, Ayomanor, uninspiring athlete. How is he going to beat out Restrepo when that's his guy? Like, they do different things. They play different positions, but, like, okay, he's the 3rd receiver. He's not the slot, and Calvin Ridley's on the other side. Like, that dude's not getting the ball because that's just Nick Westbrook-Akine, and we've seen that guy just doesn't really get the ball in the offense. And even when Westbrook-Akine did get options, it was in the slot, and he ran a lot of slot fades and stuff like that. So I just don't get it. Like, it seems like they just picked the wrong players. They picked players in fine ranges where there's options, but they just picked the wrong players. Like, they just did. And I don't really understand what they're doing.
Look at this comment right here. That first Skattebo Cooper DeJean collision is going to hit like crack. Oh, man. That is going to be electric when those two go head up twice a season. Yeah, I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent. I didn't think Gunnar Helm, Elick, DK, they're fine, I guess. I would have picked some other players, but what do we know, Jay Rich? What the hell do we know? Let's keep it moving. And let's go with Mr. I don't love football. Let's go with the non-student of the game. Let's go with the player that, what's crazy about this is at the beginning, there was no doubt. Hell, he could have went number 4 overall. No doubt.
No, he couldn't have gone number 4 overall.
Just saying. That's what people were saying at the beginning. Could go number 4 overall. You and I were not on board with that from the very beginning. But this was a player who was universally viewed as the number 1 option at his position. And as we progress through the process, doesn't love the game, doesn't watch film, doesn't study, not a number 1. Hell, falling to Baltimore at 27, to the Chargers at 22, to the Broncos at 20. Just late first-round pick. The Carolina Panthers said, Tetairoa McMillan, you are the wide receiver 2 off of the board. We are taking you inside of the top 10, and now Bryce Young has a 6'4" weapon. T-Mac, see the video, meeting Bryce Young. Met Bryce Young day after the draft. Think T-Mac was talking about that playbook? Asked Bryce Young, man. He said, man, how do I look? He's on the field talking about his damn suit, Jay Rich, and how fly he did or did not look compared to Bryce. You think I'm joking? His first interaction, he told him, man, I look good, don't I? I look better than you. That's what he's out there worried about, Jay Rich. Not the routes, just that suit needs to look good. So Tetairoa McMillan goes 8th overall to the Panthers. What are your thoughts here? Good, great, not a needle mover in your opinion, we know. But talk about this fit in Carolina.
The fit is fine, Ray. The fit is fine. I I'm just not the biggest fan. Like I just don't think he's a 1. And let's make sure, Ray, we're up to date because Carolina made a very significant signing.
Hunter Renfrow. No, it's not.
They signed Hunter Renfrow to be working and operating in the slot with you. Ray, you can't dismiss Hunter Renfrow, okay? Hunter Renfrow was a national champion. He was drafted in what, the second or third round?
7 years ago.
And you're telling me he can't route up anybody right now? This is Hunter Renfrow we're talking about. Maybe. He's not like he's fast. He's quick. He's agile. He gets into the breaks. He's a great weapon for Bryce Young. McMillan, though, so here's my thing with McMillan. This is the God's honest truth. He'll probably be a fine pro. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1, but he will be good. But I just think he's going to be a little bit overdrafted. That's my only thing with him. I like him. I think he's a good talent, but it's one of those situations where, okay, you're the best talent in your draft class. Cool. Like, that's great.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be in your right
just because
slot.
you pick number 1 in your class doesn't mean you're going to be number 1 in the NFL. We know that.
Yeah. And that's my whole thing, right? Is I think he can be fine. The way that Bryce throws his routes, he'll definitely be a good option for him. It's just I'm just not really sold on the landing spot. I kind of wish he went to a spot where he could be a 2 instead of having to be vaulted into this 1 role kind of right away. But he'll be good. He'll be good. I have no issue with him. Do you have any extra thoughts? I know you probably talked about him a lot after yesterday.
I think this is a spot that we thought he would go in. This was a commonly kind of mock spot. So the only surprise is that they did it because all the draft heads told us that they weren't going to do it. So the only shock was, he was not the 20-something overall pick. And the gap between him and the next receiver off the board was even further than the draft analysts were telling us because Matthew Golden was a shoe-in to go to Dallas at 12, which did not happen. So I don't have any other thoughts. I still maintain that he's a really good number 2 wide receiver. Makes me feel like when Philly drafted Smitty in round 1, and then he was good. He was a 1,000-yard rookie as in his rookie year, but they were like, okay, we got to get another guy.
And they traded for A.J. Brown.
Then they traded for A.J. Brown, but it worked out beautifully. T. Higgins operated as the 1 in his rookie year. I know he wasn't a first-round pick, but he was the first pick in the second round that year, and he operated as the 1 with Joe Burrow and was really good, and they turned around the very next year, and what'd they do? They went out and they drafted Jamar Chase. So this feels like the start on the path in the right direction for Carolina. My question and my final one, kick back to you, is what does this mean for Xavier Legette? What does this mean for Jalen Coker? You bring Tetairoa McMillan in. You do have Adam Thielen that they prioritize bringing back, and he's going to be on the field as old as you think he is. When he was on the field, he was really freaking good. I mean, everything. Routes, hands, body control. He was outstanding. He's still going to factor in. They've got David Moore. There's just a lot of gnats around. They drafted Mitchell Evans out of Notre Dame. You've got Jatavian Sanders.
And
they drafted
Jimmy Horn,
Trevor Etienne, Jimmy Horn Jr. What are your thoughts about Legette and Jalen Coker? Because it feels like they are on, like they need to go get it. They need to go get it with all this influx of wide receiver talent.
Yeah, I think I'm more worried about Coker. It's so tough, man, because you have to look at it from both sides. We know that Legette's going to get an opportunity because he was a first-round pick.
Yes.
And Coker is the one that actually showed it on the field.
He did.
Right? He was the one that was on the field and showed it on the field.
He did.
So that UDFA tag is not irrelevant, but somewhat irrelevant. And so now you have a situation where they just drafted another first-round receiver because the first one didn't really pan out so well, but you can't imagine they're going to just Jonathan Mingo him and not play him because even Mingo played in his second season and was ultimately traded in his third. So I think Legette's going to get an opportunity, and maybe, Ray, there's a world where Legette can be more that outside guy, and maybe you can move around McMillan a little bit more. That way, potentially it could work. But honestly, like, it sounds stupid, but I think that Jimmy Horn is probably one of the best assets they could have added to this offense because he can be the field stretcher for that team. He's not going to play a lot, but he can still help operate over the top to free up things for some of the other players. So I'm curious how they'll work him in. But McMillan's going to get his opportunity. Like, he's going to work right up the depth chart very, very quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised if he beats out Legette very, very fast. It's just kind of what they decided to do because Legette hasn't showed it on the field. Coker has, but one has first-round draft capital and one is a UDFA. So it's a lot to manage on that team because we know Thielen's going to be on the team and going to be a factor. And it's how do they manage everyone else?
Yeah, JR Enterprise said Jimmy Horn low-key might be the best wide receiver there. I'm not going to go that far to say that. I do believe Tetairoa McMillan will carve out that role and will play like the second best receiver on that team. I know Adam Thielen is old, but he's a veteran. He can get open. He can win. And I think it's good for McMillan. My expectations for him is not to go out there and set the NFL world on fire in 2025. Yeah. He's not going to be Puka Nacua. He's not going to be CeeDee Lamb. He's not going to do Jamar Chase. But hopefully what can happen is that Thielen can set him on that right path to grow grow alongside Bryce Young. And moving forward into 2026 and beyond, he takes those developmental leaps to really ascend to a top flight wide receiver. I don't think he's there yet, but you're drafted 8th overall. You're in an offense where you could go to ddfantasyfootball.com and look at the Trinity score and the usage of the pass catchers. They need somebody's else, multiple players to assume some of that passing game work. Good spot for Ted. We kind of knew it was going to happen for T-Mac, and it did. Let's talk about one more receiver before we go to break, and then we're going to get into the running backs, little Luther Burden, little Cleveland, talk some tight ends, and we got to talk about one of the biggest risers, RJ Harvey. But before we do that, Tre Harris. Hey, Rich, I want to talk about Tre Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Tre Harris was drafted 55th overall in the second round to your Los Angeles Chargers to play with our boy, Ladarius McConkey, Justin Herbert, and Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman. There's a lot of enthusiasm for Tre Harris right now, Jay Rich. How do you think he's going to fit inside of this Chargers offense with Herbert, with Ladd, and with first-round running back Omarion Hampton?
So this is probably one of the few landing spots for me that I just think it makes so much sense. Like, I just think
you're
from
a big
schematic
fan.
Standpoint,
you're a big fan.
But that's the thing, right? I'm not a big fan. Like, I'm not a big Tre Harris guy, but the things that he does well just complements what Ladd McConkey does well so much, and it just gives Justin Herbert a big body receiver to just chuck the ball up to, because he just hasn't had that since he lost Mike Williams, and they brought Mike Williams back to try and help Herbert and have that playmaker again, and then they just drafted his replacement in Tre Harris. Like, it's just funny because he wasn't a player that I was like, oh yeah, I got to get all the Tre Harris I can, especially if he's a second rounder. But I'm just like, man, the Chargers took him. They got Ladd, they got Harris, they got Herbert. Like, that's all they need. They don't need anything else other than maybe a serviceable tight end. But with how much they're going to run the ball with Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, you just need to have two talented playmakers that can make plays for you. Harris is not going to be a guy who gets open with regularity, but he can go up and catch a big pass, and we know that Ladd's going to be running wide open all day long. So I just think they complement each other so well. I would definitely be trying to get some Tre Harris because, especially more than anything, he's a player that could have a massive touchdown ceiling.
Would you rather Tre Harris or Matthew Golden, who's selected in round 1 by the Green Bay Packers?
I'm just going to take Tre Harris. It sounds stupid, and I understand that. But I would just bet on them knowing exactly how to utilize Tre Harris, and more importantly, Justin Herbert knowing exactly how to utilize Tre Harris. And I have no idea what Green Bay is doing right now.
Are you not concerned about him having to get through veterans that are there? I don't care what you think about them. Very rarely, I'm just talking real football, are second-round rookie wide receivers walking in and you're with the first team offense, right? You're going to have to work your way through some veterans. So are you at all concerned about Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston? I don't know who else they have there in the wide receiver room, but
exactly.
Are you concerned about him having to get through both of those guys first, who do similar things as Tre Harris, before getting on the field and getting that opportunity?
I'd say I have some concerns, but you also have to look at the history of the team. And just last year, they took a second-round pick and they turned him into a damn superstar. And so I think if they have a similar plan for a player like Tre Harris, maybe he starts a little slow like we saw with McConkey, but there's also a world where he can get going pretty quickly. And in Green Bay, look, they've taken a lot of receivers over the years. And are you more worried? Do you think Golden's going to be the guy that just slots in at the X from day one? Like, sure, Christian Watson's hurt, but he's still on the team.
But he's not going to be on the field.
He's not going to be on the field right away. But Dobbs I think is a problem for Golden if he can't beat him out.
Golden too. He's going to have to get through some veterans as well. Yeah. I think this disdain for it's just funny. And we said this on the draft stream. Had Emeka Egbuka been selected to Green Bay, people would I mean, he'd be top 8 guy. He's going to be the one for Jordan Love. He's better than everybody on the roster. But because it was a player that people weren't necessarily excited about from the beginning, now he's buried. Now he's got no shot to start. He's not that good. Green Bay's, it's just interesting how we prioritize these players in these landing spots. We try to act like it's based on process and data, and a lot of it is personal preconceived biases. Because if I told you Egbuka is a first-round pick, Jay Rich, before the draft, would be drafted by the Green Bay Packers, when we mocked Tet McMillan to the Green Bay Packers, people, oh my God, I love it. Love this spot for McMillan. Would love it for Egbuka at Golden. I don't really like it that much. Not very good. No opportunity for Matthew Golden as a first. Are people overthinking Matthew Golden?
It's not that I think they're necessarily overthinking Golden. It's just I view him as another guy that they already have in some respect.
Well, what would Egbuka have been? What would he have been as a slot receiver in Green Bay? Why would he have not been another guy that they already have?
Because the things that Egbuka does well, he does really well, in my opinion. Like, I've always thought Egbuka is limited in his skill set, but what he does do well, he does it really well. And Golden is a player that, while I thought could be a playmaker for an offense, I think all those guys are playmakers in some extent. Like, yes, Jayden Reed is a smaller player, but he's still, I think, just as valuable to the offense if they utilize him correctly as a Matthew Golden. When you talk about Tet, he's a bigger body receiver that they don't have on the roster. Golden's the exact same guy. He's 6 foot, maybe 190. They have like 10 of those guys on the team. And so what separates him from everyone else they already have on the roster? Maybe it's a bit of talent, but it's not like he's a guy that everyone was like, oh yeah, he's so talented. I saw it on the field in spurts, but again, to say that he's this dominant guy that's going to change his offense,
everybody is saying Golden is different than anyone else.
Do you think he's different from what they have? Like a little bit. He does have some qualities that can work outside a little bit better, but I don't know if he's that different than what they have.
They say Romeo Doubs is 1 concussion away from retirement. Jayden Reed is a slot-only guy. Wicks is
He's not a slot-only guy. They just utilize him like that, right? Like,
that's how they use him.
Jayden Reed is a great player that they just use in the slot.
Season. The usage of Jayden Reed was maddening. If he's not doing orbit motions, at least throwing it 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, Jayden Reed go get it. And then out of nowhere, he's catching a 50-yard pass down the field, and they don't throw it to him again. So,
and we still have to deal with the low pass rate and Jordan Love, who, let's be honest, regressed last season.
Yeah, he wasn't very good last year. He was not very good.
So
it was not very good.
There's a lot of factors that aren't so great in Green Bay right now.
Okay. We got a lot of running backs to talk about. We got Luther Burden. We got some tight ends, some more Would You Rather. If you're tapping in for the first time, we have a good time. It's entertaining and actionable. Hit the thumbs up button, like the stream. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome in, everybody, for another stream over here on Bleacher Report, NFL Daily. You can find Jay Rich and I every single week here on this app.
The moment I say it, they'll say, oh, yuck. And it's got to be Najee Harris, right? It's
that world is in an alternate timeline somewhere in the multiverse. It ain't here on Earth 616 or whatever. It ain't here. Jay Rich and I are on every single Thursday, 7 p.m. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay every Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on the Ray Garvin YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel and subscribe to our fantasy football channel, DDFFB on YouTube, DD Fantasy Football. If you want my post-draft rookie ranks, go to ddfantasyfootball.com. The ranks are live. Top 50 super flexes on the board. Jay, I was looking at the intro or the intermission. We weren't on Bleacher Report last week, but I'm pretty sure we will be back on this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, probably talking through some of the big risers and fallers post-NFL draft. So make sure you are tapped in every single week on Bleacher Report. And if you just want to find the content, there's a playlist inside of our YouTube description with all of our content over there at BR. Let's move on to, let's go to Cleveland. Jay Rich, let's go to Cleveland because I thought they made a great pick at the start of the second round. And I think a lot of people were really excited about this young running back, Quinshon Judkins, landing in Cleveland at the top of the second round. We know they needed a running back. No Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, not very good. And you've got an offense right now that is devoid of a scary, uh, game-changing type quarterback. So you're going to have to reinvent this offense. And what a good way to start off that new look offense with one of the better running backs in college football over the past 3 years, Quinshon Judkins. But the Browns did not stop there. They said, hell no, we don't just need that Quinshon. Give me some of that Dylan Sampson as well. And Jay Rich, I know you were not the biggest Dylan Sampson fan throughout the pre-draft process, but this SEC rusher was good. He is explosive. He can work in the receiving game, and he was drafted in the 4th round. So Cleveland in round 2 takes Quinshon Judkins. In round 4, they take Dylan Sampson. What say you about this situation, Jay Rich? Because after night 2, I was like, oh, man, Judkins.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's 102, 103. Let's go. Then they add another running back, and not just any running back, not just any. It wasn't like they just took some random guy. This was a player. I know those Jay Rich scouting reports didn't like him, but there were multiple NFL analysts who were like, this is a top 5 back in the class. SEC producer, Tennessee, speed, receiving ability. They pair him up with Judkins in Cleveland. How does this impact both of these guys, Quinshon and Dylan Sampson, and how do you think this plays out for Cleveland overall?
I think it depends on what you believe. And that's the funny part about it.
What do you believe, sir? What do you believe? That's all the people want to know. What you believe, Jordan.
This is what's interesting. Is what I like about this is it gives them complementary options, right? Like Judkins is a great player. But the thing I can't escape, Ray, and this is where it comes to overthinking it, is for me, I would happily draft Judkins at just about anywhere he goes right now. Maybe even a little bit higher than where he goes. Because I believe there's a world where Dylan Sampson isn't that good. And he's just a complimentary option, and it's the Judkins show. And if it's the Judkins show, then wheels up, right? But because people like Sampson, it's like, well, Sampson's actually pretty good. And we know Judkins is good, but Sampson's pretty good, so he's probably going to eat into Judkins' carries too much, and he's not going to be this dominant running back. But the Browns drafted him first. They drafted him ahead of TreVeyon Henderson, right? Which not a lot of people thought was going to happen overall. And so for me, it's like if I was like someone that liked Judkins already, I'd be willing to bet on him, because while Sampson is a good running back, and I know my evaluation was lower on him than some, I do think there's a world where Judkins can still be very effective in the way that he runs the ball, working at the goal line, all these things. And Sampson is a back they drafted because they thought he could complement Judkins well, but they drafted Judkins first to be the centerpiece of their offense. And I think that's what people need to not forget, is that he was drafted and profiled as a guy that can be the centerpiece of an offense. And Sampson was a guy they said, man, this guy's just fallen too far. We should probably pick him up, and he can be another piece that we add to this offense to complement Judkins.
I think that from a football perspective, I love it. I mean, this was the draft that I said multiple teams should target multiple running backs. You should take 2. And Dallas Cowboys took 2. Cleveland took 2. The Jaguars took 2. There were a couple of teams that double dipped at the running back position. I didn't think they would take 2 that were this, like the talent gap between Judkins and Sampson. I don't believe it was that far. I mean, there were a lot of people who thought Sampson should have been a 2nd-round pick right along with Judkins. So what I did not foresee or anticipate was them taking 2 that were comparable in talent and skill set. And just, I had Judkins, his pre-draft grade was a 6.92 for me, was a pre-draft grade of a 6.92. Dylan Sampson, 6.67. So these guys were fairly close to one another. I agree with you. I think Judkins has the clearest path to earning starter opportunity, however you want to frame that. And I do think that what that means in today's NFL is much different than what it looked like when Adrian Peterson was starting and he got all 30 touches. Would you consider who's the starter in Detroit? David Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs?
It's David Montgomery. I think it depends on how you want to look at it. But it's David Montgomery, I think so.
Here's the real answer. It doesn't matter, right? Because both of them will be used and both of them are good.
But think about the situations you're comparing, though. You're comparing Detroit to Cleveland. And while, I'm not comparing
Detroit to Cleveland. I'm looking at the backfields, and both of those guys independently could be and have been, or except for Gibbs, starters on any NFL team. They have the ability to be featured backs, but in this offense, they split work. Whether whoever's out there first is irrelevant. I think both of these running backs are going to play in Cleveland. I do not believe that Quinshon Judkins is going to be on the field all the early downs, all of the 4-minute offense, all of the 2-minute drill, and Dylan Sampson is just the spell back. I believe that these two are going to play in tandem with one another. And if I had to think schematically what Cleveland might be thinking about doing is, we ain't got no kind of dynamic quarterback anyway. None of the 5 quarterbacks on this roster are good enough to go toe-to-toe with the top 2 teams in this division. Neither of these 5 quarterbacks are good enough to go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry. So what we need to do, Cleveland, is get back to doing the things that made us successful when Nick Chubb was running the ball, and that is running the ball, playing sound defense. You saw that by adding a Mason Graham early, then picking up some more capital. I think both of these guys are going to play. I think both of them will be good, but until I see how efficient this offense operates, I moved them down a little bit. There are a couple of other running backs I would prefer over Quinshon Judkins at this point until I just see how that offense can work out. How efficient are they going to operate? Because I don't want just 2 backs that just touch it a lot and don't do anything. I want you to be able to be efficient with those touches, and that's what makes the Detroit Lions offense so great is they don't need 30 touches apiece to be effective. And I just want to see how that works out in Cleveland because these are 2 talented running backs, man.
Yeah, so then where do you sit with Sampson? Because that's, I think, the hardest part is that at least with Quinshon Judkins, he's probably going to play and play a decent amount.
So
right?
is
like
Sampson.
With that draft cap,
Sampson is too, Jay.
Well, hold on. That's what I need your take on is do you think it's going to be like, what do you think would be a successful season for Sampson? Because maybe there is a world where he's not getting on the field as early as you hoped he would because they drafted Judkins and maybe they still do play.
But they drafted him too.
Guys.
I get that. 4th round.
I get that. But just because you draft Braylon Allen, just because you draft Braylon Allen and whoever the hell the other guy was they drafted,
Isaiah Davis
only one of them
7.
Yeah, and only one of them can see the field because they have a Breece Hall, right? They have a guy they already like in the building. They don't have no running backs. And so that's what I think people need to manage is if you're fine sitting on Sampson potentially, then take him. But you have to understand that there is a world. I don't think he's sitting, though.
That's my thing.
Yeah, you could.
They didn't just draft him to sit him down, and not in round 4, dude. No.
I hear what you're saying, but there is a world where it's not like he's just getting 10 touches a game or even 5 touches a game. Like, it may take him some time to get going. You have to realize that. That's all I'm saying, right? It's not just if they can operate in tandem next season.
I don't think it takes running backs. They find running backs off of the couch, dude. There's no time to get going. Like I don't think there's.
Okay.
That's just my.
I'm not the biggest fan of Sampson. Like I know you like him, and a lot of people like him. But I don't think he's like this slam dunk guy that you got to draft.
I never said he was a slam dunk. All I've said is with Quinshon, you've got another option that's going to take some of the carries. Yeah. I never said he's getting 15. I didn't say he's getting 20. I don't think he's just going to sit on the field to get ready to play, sit on the bench to get ready to play running back down the line. Like there's a role for that player early in the offense. And if that role is going to siphon away the high value touch attempts from Quinshon, that's a problem. That is a problem.
Do you think he profiles to do that? Because I don't really think so.
Well, what else? What else is he going to do? What else is he going to do?
Well, he's not going to get the goal line work from Quinshon Judkins. Like that's not happening. Maybe he catches more passes than him, but I think just based off the profiles, you would expect that anyways. Or in the case of Judkins, they have another player catching passes instead. That's just what his profile is, right? So that's where like Sampson is the thunder is the lightning to his thunder. If it all works out in the way that you're describing, it's just it needs to actually play out that way.
Let's talk
Judkins
about
is going to get touches.
Let's talk about another running back. And we're not right on everything, Jay, but this is one I've been on since January. I mean, I see D-Bro in the chat. I've got the receipts. I remember texting D-Bro about this player, and his first thought was, I'm not really seeing it, Ray. Was this dude hurt? I'm not really seeing it. RB5 off of the board. UCF running back R.J. Harvey, who was selected by Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos in the second round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Jay, no player moved up my board more post-draft than RJ Harvey. I was already high on his skill set coming into the process, having a chance to meet him, talk to him, watch him at the Senior Bowl, do some more evaluation on him. Then he gets the capital to a team and with a coach who has been an RB rainmaker. And you can go back to these smaller, compact, undersized kind of running backs from Mark Ingram. You've got Pierre Thomas. You've got Reggie Bush. He makes it happen with the guys that he prioritizes in the backfield. Sean Payton had been very outspoken and vocal throughout the entire process about Denver's need to find and identify a running back. They did it with an explosive 200-plus pound rusher. I don't care how old he is. I'm not thinking about RJ Harvey in 2033, what he's going to give my dynasty roster. I'm talking about 2025. This season, this situation for me, I'm not worried about no damn Audric Estime, no Jaleel McLaughlin. This is a team that checks down to the running back a lot. A team that's going to have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. A team that's going to put out one of the best defenses in the NFL, which ideally should give your offense very good field position, turnovers, and more scoring opportunity. Talk about this landing spot of RJ Harvey in Denver.
Yeah, no, I love this one. And it's funny because I still remember when you gave me a list of all the running backs to go and watch one day, and I texted you right away. I was like, RJ Harvey's vision is off the charts. Like, whenever I watch him run, his patience and the way that he moves and sees holes and even the way that he uses his body and his movement to open up back cuts and all those various things, like that's what you're going to love to see in this offense. Just the way that he uses his patience and his explosiveness to make big plays all over the field. Sean Payton's going to love this kid. Like, obviously he does with the where he drafted him. What a spot. But it is a great fit, and people need to understand, like, all the points you brought up outside of Bo Nix and Sean Payton, like, it's the offensive line and the defense. Like, this is what's going to make this team
Talk about it, Jay.
RJ Harvey so much better. Like, when you have a team that led the league in sacks last year, top 3 in pressure rate, like, all these things matter when it talks about scoring points and making the offense's job so much easier. And so if you have RJ Harvey as the lead back in Denver, it's just going to be great. And I think that Sean's going to know exactly what to do with them. Great in that zone scheme. Like, I just love what Harvey can be. And he's a pretty good pass catcher as well. Like, he's not a nothing burger. I think McLaughlin will be used, but he's listed as the starter right now. And I think it's only going to continue to rise up boards. The question really is, like, how high would you be willing to take him? Because there's certain people like Debro, who's in the chat, like you, who said you take him very, very high. He is a player that will crack some top 4s and top 5s in rookie drafts this offseason. Like, I truly believe that. Won't be everywhere, but he will be up there for sure. That's the highest you'd go is 103?
No, I have him as RB3. I've got him as my RB3.
Have him as RB3.
RB3. Yes. This spot is too good. Like, Sean Payton didn't hide it. There was no secret. We want a running back. Everybody thought it was Hampton. And what's crazy is, if it were Caleb Johnson, if it were Quinshon Judkins, if it were Omarion Hampton, people would just, again, it would be, if the Tennessee Titans draft was the meat defeater, this would be the meat inflator right here. Those landing spots with those players, people would be out of this world, over the moon excited for this spot because it's a great spot. They target the running back a ton. This is what Sean Payton does. They throw the ball to the running back. They've got one of the best offensive lines, and they spent a first-round pick on Jahdae Barron to improve a defense that was already great. Now, this morning, I don't know if you saw, Dre Greenlaw, torn quads. So that kind of hurts the line. Yeah, it happened.
Sucks.
I saw that this morning.
He's a luxury for them anyways.
This defense is outstanding. I am very, very bullish on his 2025 season outlook and beyond.
Yeah.
I've got him over Caleb. I have him over Quinshon. I've got him over TreVeyon Henderson, Jordan Richards. I have him over Hendo in New England. I love this spot. This is a very talented player. I don't feel like I'm boosting him up because he was graded very high for me in the first place. Love this landing spot of Denver, and I've got no issue with it. And here's the thing. Whether I say he's my RB3 or 4, you know what my ranks show? Back to back to back. 4 picks in a row, 4 ranking spots in a row. RJ Harvey, TreVeyon Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins. Take whichever one you like. They're back to back to back to back. RJ Harvey, Hendo, Caleb, and Judkins. Back to back,
nice
to
tier
back,
there.
to back. So they're in the tier. Take the one that you like. I'll ask you, because you are a fan of your New England Patriots. Henderson, drafted by New England. He gets on Zoom. I never even talked to the damn team. I talked to the running back coach on Zoom, but I had no idea. I was just as surprised I was going to New England as y'all. Thoughts on Hendo in New England?
I am very excited.
Okay.
I don't know what it means for fantasy, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited. This was not on my bingo card at all. I never would have thought they would draft a running back, maybe even at all, unless it was late. And just Ray, just the smile it puts on my face at the Bears were sitting there. They're like, the Patriots ain't taking a running back. We're gonna draft TreVeyon Henderson, and then out of nowhere, TreVeyon Henderson to the Patriots. Like, oh man, it's going to be good. I don't know what it means for year one. I'm still willing to bet that Vrabel and Elliott Wolf have a plan for this kid. Like, it's just hard for me to not envision a world where he could be a very good running back for Drake May. Like, Drake May's going to dump it off to him. They're going to have packages.
Yeah, what
is
May's? I don't know. So I haven't looked at his running back target numbers. I'm trying to think about him in college. I don't ever remember seeing him throw to. I just don't know how he plays, because when you have those mobile type quarterbacks, when in doubt, I can run, right? Caleb Williams is going to run. Drake May, I think we project him to be a 300 to 450 yard a year quarterback on the ground. I don't know how much he dumps it off. That was my only, it's not pushback at all, because I mean, I got TreVeyon right behind Harvey. So I love him too. Yeah. One, he's not Christian McCaffrey in the receiving game. He's very good on screens and wheel routes, but he's not CMC the receiver, right? He's a really good running back. We saw the best of TreVeyon Henderson post-freshman season when they brought in another big running back to take some of the pressure off him to keep him healthy. Does May check down to the RBs?
He does a little bit, right? So I was just pulling up Ramondre Stevenson's numbers, 41 targets last year, and he did miss a couple games. So not a ton, but you're also bringing in a play caller that likes the screen game a lot in Josh McDaniels, right? So that's where it is a combination, and let's be real, we weren't that optimistic from a play calling and scheme perspective from New England either last year. So there's a lot of factors at play here, but I think that McDaniels will know how to utilize him very, very well. He's kind of honestly like that McDaniels player that we've been waiting to see in New England. We've seen a lot of successful running backs, whether it's James Whites and Shane Vereen's and all these guys that can catch passes, but they're not as dynamic and explosive as TreVeyon Henderson. He's the guy that you say, okay, it's not just that he can catch passes and is explosive in the receiving game. It's like, no, he can still run the ball pretty well. Absolutely. And it's just, how much work do they give him, and can he stay healthy? Because that's the number one question for Henderson. It's not the talent or what his ceiling could be if he was able to handle a full workload. It's, can he stay healthy, and how much will they utilize him? But of all the running backs in this class, if there was a player that could do it on limited touches, this is the guy, 100%. He's the guy that can do the most with the fewest touches, and that's why in this New England offense, he could be very exciting.
Right. I'm just going to ask you, would you rather TreVeyon Henderson or Quinshon Judkins?
I'm taking Henderson.
Henderson or Caleb Johnson?
I'm taking Henderson.
Henderson or RJ Harvey?
The answer should be Harvey, but I would probably take Henderson anyways.
Henderson or Hampton?
Oh, I would take Henderson.
Henderson or Hampton?
I would take Henderson over Hampton, 100%. Ray, like I do believe there's a real question over if Omarion Hampton should actually be in that tier. Yes, he's a first-round draft pick.
Are y'all serious? Are y'all? And you're not the only one. I'm calling you out. Are we serious right now? As much as y'all disparage Najee Harris's name and his game, you want to sit up here today and tell me that this first-round running back might not be the RB2?
I'm not saying that.
He lands in L.A. with anybody. Okay. You were ready to be bricked the hell up pre-draft. Now what happened? That Najee on a one-year deal. I don't know about Omarion Hampton now. I'm calling you out. You ain't the only one either.
No. Here's my point from an actual what could happen sense. Henderson, we don't project him to be the starter right away, right? No. But heading into next season, he could be. Same with Omarion Hampton, right? Doesn't project to be the starter right away, but definitely will be next season, or should be based off the draft capital. Quinshon Judkins, probably not going to be the starter this season, but could be because he has a clear path to playing time. And then you have RJ Harvey, who you love. Great spot. and could easily be the best running back in this draft class as a rookie. Right? Like that's a
probably
real
not
possibility.
Not over Genty, but
well, sorry.
Well,
Genty aside.
I know you're
That's
not even
true.
considering
That's true.
Genty. I know you're
Yeah,
not
Genty
considering
is-
Genty. I
yeah.
just want to clear that up for people who might say so.
So-
You're not talking about Genty.
Thank you. But so that's where it's like, okay, I hear everyone. I understand Hampton's a first-round running back, but like there is a world where he deserves to be in the tier with all those other guys. Like that could be the real tier, and just pegging him at 102, 103 might be really foolish in the end. And it's not because he's not talented, but it's just because he's a first-round running back, and first-round running backs don't miss. But that's just how I see
you're
it.
not
Like,
the
when you
only. I've seen multiple people say there's a real question about RB2 in this class based on the landing spots.
RB2 is not decided today.
I think it is.
It's not.
It's Omarion Hampton.
I don't think so. I'm not that confident because the clear path to playing time isn't there. If it was, I'd be with you, but it's not.
So you think Najee's just going to, they asking you think they spent the 22nd overall pick with all the holes that they have, and they're just going to say, Omarion Hampton, you sit on, you sit on the bench and Najee's going to get all the work. You think that's going to happen?
I'm not saying that, but if they split, is it a success? Is it 102 if they split? 50-50?
See, this is where this is, again, maybe I'm just, my brain is somewhere else, but this idea that you have to be the starter and the only way you can score points is because you're the starting runner.
Okay,
that's not the
Ray,
game.
think about this. If you're given a 50-50 split in their respective offenses, do you want Omarion Hampton in LA? Do you want TreVeyon Henderson in New England? Do you want RJ Harvey in Denver? Or do you want Quinshon Judkins in Cleveland?
And they're all getting 50?
They're all getting 50-50 with whoever the backup is. Now, here's the problem. You know who the starter is in LA, or you know who the complement is. It's Najee Harris. Easily the best complement. It's not Jaleel McLaughlin. You can make the argument for Ramondre Stevenson if you want to, because he's carried a lot of work in his day. And then in Cleveland, you have no idea. Quinshon Judkins could be the goal line every down, early round back. So that's my question to you is if you have 50-50 with all those running backs, is Omarion Hampton the clear number one for you of those four? And I think that's my point. It's not that clear.
Okay. All right. Well,
you didn't even answer the question. Do you think it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
I think
if you think it is, that's fine. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's talk through the dog of all dogs. How about that? Can we talk about the dog of all dogs? No, it can't. It's not Skattebo. It's Ben Johnson's new toy. Luther Burden III, Jay Rich, Missouri wide receiver, drafted in round 2. Not to my Dallas Cowboys, but to the Chicago Bears. I did not foresee this coming, and this was off of the heels of their first-round pick, where they selected Michigan tight end Colston Loveland, and we'll save Loveland for the next conversation. Let's just focus on Luther Burden, because this is also such a fascinating landing spot because of how people feel about Luther Burden, what people feel about Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson in this offense. Luther Burden, second round to Chicago. Talk about it, Jay Rich.
So I have to give Josh a lot of credit because I think he might have talked me into Luther Burden.
Josh who?
And
McAtee?
Josh McAtee, yeah.
In the Discord? He talked to you in the Burden?
No, we talked on the stream about Burden a lot.
Talked to you on the stream? Okay.
Yeah, on the Saturday stream when we were
good job on the stream too,
all
Jay
7
Rich.
hours
You
of day 3.
On the stream, dude.
Thank you.
Great job.
No,
Jordan.
Josh did a really good job, and I think he talked me into Luther Burden. Not because I think it's Rome Odunze, it's DJ Moore, it's Colston Loveland, it's Cole Kmet, but
DeAndre Swift.
I just think there's gonna be some artificial
just fucking
value
bias,
there.
man. It's because you like him. I
do like him. I do like him. But Ray, I think that the hate may go too far with Burden. It's not that I think that you should draft him in like even the first round, but I do think there's a world where you could get him like 205, 206, and at that point, like I'm in, like very in. if you're talking, 2-1, 2-2, there's again, probably not ahead of Tre Harris, right? But ahead of Jaden Higgins, ahead of Jack Betch, ahead of every receiver behind all those guys. Maybe not Kyle Williams. Maybe you like Kyle Williams.
Oh, God.
But you probably take Luther Burden over Kyle Williams. So that's where, when we did our mock draft, and, the first round, rounding backs galore, locked and loaded, no problem. But Burden's always in that second. And I'm like, man, if Ben Johnson just has a plan, he's like, I just see my Amon-Ra St. Brown and Luther Burden, and it's going to happen. It's going to be Rome Odunze. But if it was Luther Burden, oh, man, it'd be a great role for him. I was initially very skeptical.
You still have yet to tell me why you're
Ben
bullish.
Johnson.
You've
because I think he's going to get plenty of opportunity.
How?
Because just because it seems crowded today doesn't mean that Burden can't earn opportunity and be usable. That's all I'm saying. If he finished the season with more targets than Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, would you be shocked? And I think the answer is no.
What is
because
that?
Maybe this team
me?
just runs.
What's that going to do for me?
Pretty solid rookie season. Probably 600, 700 yards with 80, 90 targets.
80, 90 targets.
Yeah,
huh?
Maybe. It's not terrible.
Greg said there are
They throw the
content
ball up.
creators charging people $10 a month for a Patreon sub who are telling them that Burden will outscore DJ Moore this season. You better not be you. Is that you?
I don't have a Patreon, so no, it's not me.
Okay.
But I wouldn't tell you that anyways. Right?
I think this is an awesome football fit for the Chicago Bears NFL franchise. You have yet to convince me on how the hell this is viable for fantasy football in 2025.
I mean, they could just run 3 wide receiver sets.
And he's just going to be on the field,
Who's
3
it?
wide receiver sets, right?
Yeah, why not? Who else is going to be on the field? I don't even know who else is on their team.
Yeah,
Some bums,
I right now and Caleb also tweeted out happy birthday to Keenan Allen yesterday, so he might be on his way back to Chicago. He tweeted that out on his Instagram. He loves him some Keenan Allen. But no, man, they're second round receiver. They spent the top 10 pick on a tight end. They already have a damn tight end there.
Okay,
you got Rome Odunze.
Do you want the other options? I pulled it up.
The only options I
Devin
need.
Duvernay, Tyler Scott, Olamide Zacchaeus.
And what you're doing, and
possible.
listen to this. Listen to how people twist shit to what they prefer, right? Their preference. Matthew Golden picked 23rd overall. Not a chance. No way he can get through Rome Odunze or Dontavian Wicks. Just cannot happen. Oh, but Burden, he'll just be on the field in 3 wide receiver sets. He's going to get 90 targets in his rookie season.
I never said that. I said he could. It's possible.
Well, then that's not saying anything. I'll just say what I think you're trying to say and sell people that he's going to be the third option in Chicago in this passing attack that we don't know what the hell it's going to look like with the wide
100%.
receiver that some people said would have been universally the first receiver off of the board. Have we just forgot about your man crush of Rome Odunze?
No,
DJ Moore,
absolutely not.
Right? We don't
Absolutely
need him
not.
anymore. We got Luther Burden.
But I think he's going to be a steal, and you could probably sell him for a lot.
So you've done nothing to convince me how he gets there.
It's
nothing.
It's simple. He's gonna be steamed up to the high heavens because he's Luther Burden.
I don't disagree
and that's
with
why
that.
I would take him.
That's
where I'm at. Like,
you are part of the problem because you're saying a lot without saying anything.
I'm trying to help you so you can get off
Not
those
helping
Burden
me.
shares for very, very high prices.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shitty spot.
People
for Luther
like
Burden.
him.
It is.
People will like him. He's a hot name, and I think he's
Offensive
going
line,
to be used.
and
I
I want piece of that Ben Johnson offense too.
Well, yeah, and I was talking with Mike
Renner.
Renner. I guarantee you're going to see him in the backfield. I guarantee you're
yeah.
going to see him do. And he's going to play exactly what he did in college, which was what? The slot. That's what he's going to do. How valuable is that role in conjunction with Odunze, who they've already talked about? We're going to give him as much as work as he can handle. Like, if you're that bullish on
how
Burden, I'll
good
be trying
Ben
to go
Johnson
get Rome.
is.
If people are that bullish on Burden, and is there a world? Let's both be wrong here, Jay. Is there a world where all of them are just like mediocre? They're just
100%. That's what
could there
Detroit
be a world
was,
where
right?
Rome gets 1,100 yards, Moore's got 1,000, Kmet's got 400, Loveland's got 600, and Burden's got 550 and 27 rush attempts? Could it just be like just spread out all over the place with so many pass catching options and the running backs that they have.
Absolutely. Well, the running back is the interesting part because we thought they'd have a more talented running back room coming out of the draft than they probably do, right? Like DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Kyle Monungai. That's not anything that we saw in Detroit. Like, that's not going to be this dynamic two-headed monster. Now, if Luther Burden gets involved in the backfield, then we're talking. But yeah, it's going to come down to Ben Johnson and this offense and seeing what happens, because I personally would want a piece of this offense because I think it's going to get steamed up artificially, and it's really not going to be that good. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy.
If DJ Moore's out,
pieces.
If DJ Moore's out, we'll have a different. That's all I want to hear is how does it happen?
But do you think DJ Moore is long for Chicago?
No, I do not. No.
So then would you take a shot on Burden hoping that year 2 could be?
I said DJ Moore was kind of stank last year, but he's there. I said it last year. I said just go watch him. Like, it was just he was pretty stank out there. But we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. We shall see.
Interesting.
Couple of more players that we're going to talk about, and I promise you on Wednesday's show, that's going to be the one where it's just would you rather. Would you rather the whole Wednesday? Would you rather Wednesday is what it's going to be. Would you rather Wednesday? And we're going to go through all these running backs, 4th round, because I got a lot of 4th round running backs rated very high, Jay. A lot of 4th round running backs rated very high. But let's get to a QB, because we have not talked about what the New York Giants did in their selection of Jaxson Dart, former USC quarterback, in round 1, pick 25. Jaxson Dart is going to play with Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson, Jalen Hyatt, Cam Skattebo, Devin Singletary, Brian Daboll, and the New York Giants. He was taken at pick 25 after the Giants traded back up. How you feeling about Jaxson Dart? I've got him 10th overall on my board. I want him. I want him. I want him.
I like Jaxson Dart a lot. This is really, really fun. Like, I think that for people who don't like Jaxson Dart, I get it. You know, he has his flaws.
Why don't they like Dart?
But, you know, if everyone has their preferences, right? Some people like Shedeur Sanders.
They don't like that.
Some people like Jaxson Dart.
Okay.
But the biggest thing for me with Dart is, like, he just seems like that's the guy that Daboll wanted, right? There was a guy that Daboll wanted, and it was Jaxson Dart. Maybe it was Cam Ward, obviously, at the top because the Giants tried to trade up. But they chose to take Jaxson Dart. And it'll probably be Russ, maybe Jameis, but Jaxson Dart will be on the field. He's a 1st-round pick. He's going to get groomed by Daboll, and he has playmakers around him. Like, having Malik Neighbors on the field with you is a massive asset to Jaxson Dart. And people need to not forget that. As much as we talked about Cam Ward and his circumstances, he has Calvin Ridley, sure. But it ain't Malik Neighbors that he's throwing the ball to, that's for sure. And so Jaxson Dart has that will help elevate him, right? That'll only make him better. If he can just get the ball to Malik Neighbors, he'll be an infinitely better passer in the NFL just kind of as a starting point. So we'll see. Like, I like where he's at. I think he's not going to have to start right away. Maybe mid-season starter for Jaxson Dart this year, depending on how Russ does. But again, there's also a world where he starts out the gate. He's a 1st-rounder.
He could.
And these guys are trying to start they're trying to save their damn jobs. And they've only committed, I think, less than $15 million to their quarterback room right now outside of Jaxson Dart. So I think that if you're drafting a quarterback that's not Cam Ward in rookie drafts, it has to be Jaxson Dart. I think he's a 1st-rounder all day. Like, I would just take the shot because Daboll's done some pretty good things with quarterbacks in his past. And obviously he couldn't do that with Daniel Jones, but this is the guy that he said, I think can save my job. And that's the God's honest truth. That's what this pick tells me.
Well, that tells me he's going to do everything possible to put him in a position to succeed. I don't think Dart's a perfect prospect. Yeah. I've liked him since USC. You could talk about some of the things in Lane Kiffin's offense that makes things easy for quarterbacks, but that's the job of the offensive coordinator. Why do I want to make it hard for you? Let's make it easy. And how easy is it? Just get the ball to Malik Neighbors, right? Get the ball to Malik Neighbors. Russ will start as he's been told. Yeah, Russ is going to start. I think Russ could start, but I'll go win it. You know, the Seattle Seahawks paid Matt Flynn, and Russell Wilson is the 3rd-round pick, said, nope, I'm going to be the guy. Strong preseason performance, whatever was happening in practice. How much did they commit to Russ? How much money are they in on Russ
I think it's less than $12 million.
Yeah. he goes out there and stinks it up, it's going to be Jaxson Dart.
And he can throw his hissy fit, whatever. Like Russell be on his bullshit, but
here's a good one.
It's not about
Russ
anymore.
Here's a good one by Jimbo. Shout out Jimbo. Would you rather Jaxson Dart or J.J. McCarthy?
J.J. McCarthy. I'd say by a mile, honestly. Do you feel any differently?
No. I would take J.J. McCarthy as well. I would take J.J. McCarthy as well. Jay, let's wrap this show up.
$10.5 million for Russell Wilson. That's
how much?
$10.5 million, which is nothing.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
He could if he looks at Dayball the wrong way, he might be on the bench. All right, let's finish it up talking about 2 top 15 picks in vastly different situations. One, we've got a rookie wide receiver who's going to usurp Rome Odunze and Luther Burden in the Chicago Bears. You've got Colston Loveland, drafted 10th overall to the Bears. There was a lot of steam, Jay Rich, that Loveland was going to be the first tight end off the board. And that happened. Colston Loveland picked 10th overall. But right after him, just a few picks after, Tyler Warren goes to the Indianapolis Colts, a team that literally this was the player that I had pegged to Indianapolis in my very first mock. It made too much sense. They've got nothing at tight end, and they just drafted Tyler Warren 14th overall. Colston Loveland goes 10th overall. How are you ranking and projecting these two pass catchers for their new teams?
I think it depends on how you feel about each player. I personally want whoever goes second. That's the God's honest truth. I don't care whether I get Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren. If you really feel bullish on Tyler Warren, you think he's got a better range of outcomes, go for it. Take him. I honestly don't care. I'm going to take the Sam Laporta in Ben Johnson's offense and be happy with whatever I get. It's probably not a high-end guy, but he's probably a fine starter for my offense. And if you believe Tyler Warren can succeed, Anthony Richardson, Danny Dimes, whatever the hell is playing quarterback for Indianapolis, and you think he can be the number 2-ish option on that team, go for it. But neither of these guys inspires a ton of confidence for me. I'm not the biggest fan of the Warren landing spot in Indy. The opportunity could be there, and then you have the crowded room in Chicago. So both got drafted very highly, but just give me whoever gets drafted second if I really need a tight end. I'm really fine with either guy. I think that Warren's got a wider range of outcomes, and Loveland probably a little bit safer.
I'm not going to say anything to knock your opinion, because I think there's a world that Colston Loveland is the number 2 behind Rome Odunze. Maybe not right out the gate with DJ Moore there, but you look at the end, you get to the end of the season, you're like, man, the best 2 pass catching options in Chicago, it's Rome Odunze and it's Colston Loveland. Burden is a nice piece, but I think that's a very realistic outcome. I'm not worried about Indianapolis at all. I'm not, because nobody in that wide receiver room scares me. You know exactly what Michael Pittman is. He's been that for the last 5 years of his career. Josh Downs, the issue with Josh Downs has been the same issue that has plagued Josh Downs since his collegiate days. His inability to stay on the field consistently. He does one thing, one thing well.
He's the best receiver on the team.
What'd you say?
He's the best receiver on the team. He's just not on the field enough. He had 107 targets in 14 games last year.
He's awesome, right?
He's very good.
When he's on the field and healthy, he's awesome. Pittman is what he is. Alec Pierce occupies a role that will have no impact on Tyler Warren, and they had no tight end of consequence on there. Shane Steichen went out and got the easy button option. It's funny that everyone mocked this for months on end, and then it happens. I don't like it. I don't like it now. Literally, this has been the player team mock. Outside of Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders and Cam Ward to the Titans, there has been no player mocked more to one single team than Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts. And now that it happened, he was a top 15 pick. I don't like it. And let me tell you what, people are like Anthony Richardson throwing the ball. He might not even start, Jay. They've been very open from the rip that it's going to be an open competition. You bring in Daniel Jones. You think about here goes a would you rather. Would you rather quarterback room edition? The Cleveland Browns quarterback room with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson, or Indianapolis' quarterback room of Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Sam Ehlinger, and Riley Leonard. It's like if you took You couldn't have built a more symmetrical quarterback room of madness than what Indianapolis has. Sam Ehlinger, Riley Leonard, Anthony Richardson, and Daniel Jones. My God.
Yeah.
Which room would you rather have?
It's like comparing bullshit and cow shit. It's kind of just all shit at the end of the day. It's not really that different.
Bulls and cows are.
Yes, the same.
Okay.
But here, Cleveland. Give me Cleveland's quarterback room, Ray. I will take Cleveland. But what is the context of the question, if you don't mind me asking? I'm still going to take Cleveland. Is this to win? Is this for fantasy purposes? For anything.
For whatever you want it to be.
I'll take the Browns.
It is. I'm not worried about Warren. I'm just, I don't know how many times I can say this until I'm blue in the face. He is not, I repeat, he is not the same level and caliber prospect as Brock Bowers. He is not that. Okay. Full stop, period. And with that being said, people hated Brock Bowers' landing spot. No way anybody in that quarterback room could support it. He might. He won't see 100 targets in Las Vegas. Won't see 100 targets in Las Vegas. I don't think there's anybody on this Indianapolis team that can do what Tyler Warren does. He should start out the gate. I'm not banking on no damn Mo Alley Cox, no Kylan Granson, no Drew Ogletree, no Will Mallory. It should be Tyler Warren out the rip, starting tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not overthinking this one, man. I'm still very much.
Gotta watch out for that Will Mallory and his 8 targets last season. How about Mo Alley Cox's 22 and Kylan Granson's 31?
They should all go to Tyler Warren. All of them.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
Even A.D. Mitchell. I think the biggest loser is A.D. Mitchell. Because
there's going to be multiple
do something
losers.
with Alec Pierce, like
there will be multiple losers inside of this offense, and the one player that I can confidently say I don't think will lose is Tyler Warren. I do
you know
not.
What's crazy, Ray? I'm looking at this Colts team right now. Who do you think led them in receiving last year?
Alec Pierce.
With 37 receptions. He had 824 yards, averaging 22.3 yards a reception. Almost double that of it is double that of Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. So, like, there's definitely opportunity on this team.
Joe hit it. And I didn't even want to bring this up because I don't want to factor it into the reception.
It's a small piece, right?
Well, small or not. Joe says, shout out to my girl Joe. She said Warren will get rushes too. He's got that. He will carry the ball. Guarantee you. He was a former high school quarterback. Okay. When they get to that goal line, don't you be shocked if Tush Push Warren is in there for Shane Steichen and the Indianapolis Colts. I know I'm reaching here, Jay.
It ain't like you got a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback that can run a 4.3. But you got to get that Tyler Warren in there for a short yardage situation.
You run that A-Rich up the A-gap, he's getting hurt. They cannot risk that anymore. James Franklin was on the draft stream, and I know he's got a job to do, but, I mean, he said that a lot of people took the way that Penn State used – it was a beautiful interview. He said a lot of people try to knock the way that we used Tyler Warren at Penn State in his final year, 150-something targets. He said we did that because he was the best player we had on our team, and we wanted to get the ball in it. Not Nick Singleton, not Katron Allen, not Drew Allar. He said he was the best offensive player on the team. So our job every week is find ways to get him the ball as quickly and as much as possible. That's what James Franklin said. I do think he will get rush attempts. I would not be shocked if he was in at the goal line as the damn quarterback doing crazy stuff. I'm not worried about it, man. I'm not saying that he's going to have this magnificent year one where he has 1,000 yards and 25 touchdowns, but I'm not fading this caliber of tight end drafted at this spot to this team who has nobody else. I'm still in on Tyler Warren, man. And if you're not, I'm not gonna knock you for it. I love Colston Loveland. You go in round 2, you got a Mason Taylor, and Elijah Roy. You got a bunch of options that you could choose from, but I'm not fading Tyler Warren, Jay.
No, but I think it's managing expectations, right? it's making sure people take him where is appropriate versus, oh my God, like he's going to be great, right? Versus Loveland, who you kind of know is only going to reach a certain ceiling. But I'm with you. If you believe in the ceiling of Warren, then go ahead and take him. Just take him in the second round.
All right, we had a couple of super chats that we have to get to, man. James Young in the building right at the start. He said GMGP and happy best ball summer. Yes, I think that is going to launch pretty
BBM
soon.
6 drops today.
Okay. Fredo dropped one in here, and he says, conference matters until we don't like the guy. SEC Offensive Player of the Year in 2024, talking about Dylan Sampson. And you, Mr. Richards.
Was he really offensive? Wow.
Yeah, and you always
SEC
talk about
was kind of
Ashton
trash
Genty,
last year, though.
Ashton Genty playing in the damn Mountain West, but you don't like that Dylan Sampson, huh? Don't like that.
I don't like.
Don't like an SEC running back, but shit on Ashton Genty every chance you get.
Well, he's a 4th rounder, right? He wasn't drafted 6th overall, was he?
Zach put a $2 super chat in here. He said, on the clock, 2.0 tight end premium, Henderson or Warren Loveland, 2.0. I'm taking the tight end.
Are you?
2 point.
Is that,
yes.
is that the smart move? I don't know.
Yes, I would take Tyler Warren. Two points
and you're
per reception.
taking Warren because the reception upside
Just
is
it's straight
higher,
opportunity.
right?
There's no doubt in my mind that I believe the Chicago offensive environment is far superior than that of Indianapolis. I'm not going to sit on here and say that I think the Colts offensive situation and their playmakers and their quarterback, it's so much better in Chicago. And that it's strictly opportunity. I do not, my belief is that he will just be volumed. It's just straight targets, opportunity, and usage, not offense. Now, here's a real world thing. Loveland may not out-target him. He may not get as many opportunities, but it might be a lot better. He's just running one-on-one.
You're looking to the Sam Laporta 17 touchdowns in 2 seasons type of thing. Right?
Loveland goes out there and he's getting 4 catches in a game, but he's got 78 yards because he's wide ass open on deep dig routes because he's one-on-one across the middle of the field. I can absolutely see that. I can absolutely see that happening. And he's the more efficient player in a better offense, but I'm going to stick with my tight end one, Tyler Warren, even though he's in Indianapolis. We have another super chat here, Jay Rich, a little long question, so I saved this one, all right? I picked Hampton and Henderson passing on Tetairoa. Have Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Rashee Rice, and Jalen Waddle. And just Pacheco and Najee at running back. Should I have taken McMillan at 105 over Henderson with that team? What should I do in the mid to late 2nd and 3rd round? Should he have taken a running back over McMillan at 105 over Henderson? Should he have taken Henderson? Tet over Henderson.
I would have. No, I wouldn't take Tet over those guys given the team construction. And if you can't move any of those guys, then I think you made the right decision. Dude.
You got London, Marv, JSN,
and then you
Rice,
go
Waddle.
2.5, 208. Like 208 is probably where I would target a Kyle Williams if you want a receiver. But outside of that, like
I just
leave
wouldn't
him.
even
Take running backs.
Yeah, I'll just load up on RBs.
Backs.
You're good, man.
Yeah, just take more running backs.
I'm fine with Hendo over Tet. I've got Tet. I've got McMillan ahead of Henderson, but I'm not, based on your team construction, Ali, I'm not worried about that, man. Good. It's fine. Good. You got a great player, man. Awesome.
Yep.
I have another one right here from Top Travelers Guide. Super chat. I have 104, 107, and 204 in a single QB, full PPR. Draft starts tonight, Jay Rich. Said him loaded at receiver. I got Neighbors. I got Nico, Worthy, Marv. Nice. Got 0 RBs. Took that Scott Connor approach, 0 RBs. I'm a mid-team at the moment. Who would you draft in my position? Single quarterback, 104, 107. Let's assume Genty's off the board, Hampton's off the board, Hunter's off the board. You're sitting there at the 104. Okay. McMillan, Harvey, Henderson. You're going Henderson, right?
I would take Henderson, yeah. And part of that is not knowing your draft. If you only had one pick, I would probably say take Harvey. But, Ray, if there's a running back who's probably going to come back around at 107, it would probably be RJ Harvey. Unless he gets steamed up or it's a very sharp league. In our leagues, he's not going to be there at 107. Like, there's no way.
My rank of RJ Harvey doesn't mean take that with just use that as, damn, Ray really likes RJ Harvey. But know your league. You may not have to draft him at the 106. RJ Harvey could. Well, I saw in some people saying he's still in the 2nd round in some drafts.
The kid G Money said he took him 108, Loveland 205, and a tight end premium. Like, I don't think Harvey's going to get steamed up to that level. People are still going to take like there will be certain leagues where Matthew Golden may go ahead of Harvey, right? And some of those other players, like it's very possible. But I would probably take Henderson first because he's going to be the guy who's not going to make it back for sure, only because people like him and people know.
Yeah, he
him.
won't get to 107.
That RJ Harvey seam isn't going to 105, 105. It could, but it probably won't.
In single quarterback, it might. It might. The more we go,
maybe.
Here's what has to happen. Everybody just has to reconcile with the fact that what did I say pre-draft, Jay? I said the top 5 is not solidified. Everybody, this is going to be the top 5. It's going to be Judkins, Henderson. And I was like, it's not.
Yeah.
Wait until we get the landing spots. And now you have to recalibrate your thought process. Here's the last one. And this is a good one, Jay, because it allows me to say something I wanted to say when talking about Genty earlier. GMGP, this is from Adam. Appreciate you, Adam. GMGP, do we have a world where Hampton surpasses Genty in production in their year 2 of the NFL? Also, would you trade Achane for 102 in a rebuild squad? Sure, I'm fine with trading Achane for 102 in a rebuild. I'm fine with it. You're getting a first-round pick for a running back. You're probably just going to re-roll that into Travis Hunter or another running back or a quarterback on a rebuilding squad. Is there a world where Hampton surpasses Genty? I'm just going to say this. I've thought about this a lot, man. I truly believe that Ashton Genty is set up to have more immediate rookie year success than even Bijan Robinson. And here's why.
Oh, easily.
I just don't think that the Raiders are going to get cute with him. There's nothing cute about this pick. There's nothing cute about what they're probably going to do. It's going to be turnaround, handball to Ashton Genty. The Raiders were the worst rushing team in the league. Third down rushing conversion, goal line attempts, they were awful in 2024. This feels like a no-nonsense pick. Ashton Genty, 6th overall. You're the day 1 starter, and you're playing 85% of the time. He's getting 300-plus touches this year. What that does for him long-term, I don't know. Is there a world where Hampton does it? Maybe, but I'm just not predicting it and projecting that. I think it is wheels up Ashton Genty. He is about to get fed the ball, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you even look to Kenneth Walker in his rookie season, 228 attempts, 1050 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 35 targets to go with that. And he's not as talented as Ashton Genty is playing, again, under Pete Carroll. So, like, there's not going to be a lack of volume, I don't think. Now, again, can we go as far as to say 300 carries? Probably not on this Raiders offense, but well, part of it is the offense, right? Like, they have to be good enough to be able to give him 300 carries on top of that. But yeah, I'd say 300 opportunities is where I would probably start with a player like Ashton Genty. But Nick, do you have any questions about his receiving work? I've always wondered that, how people feel about the receiving work for him.
He's fine. He caught a bunch of passes the year before. Like, he'll catch screen passes and
what it kind of look like.
Swing routes.
In the 50 range, 40 range for targets, something like that.
Like, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's appropriate. Nick Johnson dropped a super chat in here. He said 12-team, tight end premium, start 10, 109. Wide receiver room is stacked. RBs are Najee, Trey Benson, and Rashad White. Tight ends are Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange. You taking a tight end here? Tight end premium, start 10, 109.
No. No, not in the start 10. I'm taking a running back, 100%.
Probably not in the start 10. I'm with you. Unless it's like a 2-point, full point bonus for your tight ends. If it's just like 1.5, nah, still.
Ingram will be fine. Like, he'll be fine. He's not going to be bad, not going to be great, but he's fine.
There's a lot that I want to talk about. I want to talk about Woody Marks. I want to talk about Jarquez Hunter, Ollie Gordon, some of the other receivers that were drafted, Jalen Knoll. We didn't talk about Jaden Blue, Jalen Milroe, but we're going to do that on Would You Rather Wednesday. We will do that on Wednesday. So we appreciate each and every eye, each and every year joining in on this stream today. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, like the content, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the DD Fantasy Football channel as well. If you want access to my rankings right now on ddfantasyfootball.com, they are live. Top 50 Superflex. We'll keep adding, we'll keep adjusting as we get new information. Jay, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Thank you, everybody, for tapping in. Thank you for a great weekend as well. For everyone who tapped into the streams, thank you so much. Liking, subscribing, the super chats. We love it all. And we thank you. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday. We're out. Peace.
Dude, I'm messing up the box, Jay Rich. I'm messing up. You had a beautiful, beautiful outro, man. That was good stuff. Yeah, we'll get out of here. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. Peace.